Hello, YouTube. Today I have a call with Javier from Argentina, and he has a bunch of questions, really good questions about why his LLC doesn't have to pay taxes, how to set it up, where to set it up. He's starting an Amazon FBA store, and I think it's a really good call where I share my screen and we go into a little bit about why LLCs don't have to pay taxes in the US, especially with this drop shipping model. So let's get to it. Let's get to the call.
Haven't done my taxes, I'm too turned up. Haven't done my taxes, I'm too.
How you doing this afternoon?
Very good, and you?
I'm doing great. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Argentina.
Argentina. Yeah, I have to read because in your description, you left me a ton of actual written questions in here.
Okay. If you want, I can start giving you a background of...
Please, Jennifer, you're in the call. Yeah, you can give me a background. That would be great. Just want to confirm that also you're fine with me putting the call on the internet, right? This is a free call? Yeah.
Yes, okay. No problem. Although I would rather prefer if my image doesn't appear on YouTube.
Your email won't appear. I'll rename you so it's just Javier.
Okay, perfect. So my complete name, okay, perfect.
You're just another Javier from Argentina.
Perfect, thank you.
It's not that big of a channel yet anyways, but yeah, great. We can get started. You can, I guess you want to give me a little bit of background and.
Yes, so I'm willing or I'm about to start a business using what is called the Amazon FBA model, which mainly consists of sourcing products from, let's say, China, ship them to an Amazon warehouse or an Amazon distribution center in the US, and from there selling products to US customers using the Amazon platform.
Awesome.
So let's say I'm doing e-commerce and I'm selling products in the US to US customers. So my first question is me working from Argentina. Do I need to pay any income taxes for that business, let's say?
In the United States?
In the United States, of course. Yes. I will need to pay taxes here in Argentina for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, well, maybe I can avoid that, but that's another topic that I can solve by myself.
Okay, so if you plan on using an LLC doesn't exist for tax purposes, so it's like you're doing business in your own name. So all of the profits and everything are like you earned them yourself, and since you don't live in the US or work in the US, you wouldn't pay taxes here. Right now, the concern, at least my concern with this model, is that you have inventory held by Amazon. How I understand the current law to be written, this doesn't necessarily mean that you have inventory in the US. However, I expect the government to change their stance on this a little bit in the future and make it a little more complicated for people like yourself. But for now, there's no taxes to pay in the US, only sales taxes, and I'm almost certain Amazon pays those on your behalf.
Yes, and I'm not sure about that, but yes, sales taxes I will need to pay. My concern is regarding the income taxes. So you're saying it's equal or it's the same from me working through an US LLC or working directly with my name from Argentina or my company from Argentina? Is the same for the IRS?
From a tax standpoint, yes. There are certain forms you have to file because you have the LLC, but there's no tax associated with those forms.
Do you think that this is because as I found you watching YouTube videos regarding this issue, I have found many others, and I've been in contact, let's say, with different tax attorneys or CPAs, and I found that there are like two different approaches to this. Do you agree with me that your approach is like an aggressive taxation approach?
No.
And conservative is the ones who says that since I'm making business in the US and I'm selling goods in the US to US customers, I should pay income taxes?
I guess it would be more aggressive than just paying taxes that you don't need to pay. I think that when there's a lot of more conservative, you say conservative, but it's more non-modern, I guess traditional. It's just people, normal accountants who work in the US, and I used to work with a lot of people like this who just have US-based clients, don't understand the concept. I have referenced the code sections, the Internal Revenue Code, and certain case law studies and other videos that really support this position. And so you have, it goes from a couple of different, there's a couple of things to consider, right? I believe the way the code is written completely supports you not having to pay tax on an LLC income from sales to people, even though people in the US. You are paying sales taxes, so there's no sales tax issue. So there's the risk, right? The IRS, unless you get enormously huge, there's a lot of businesses doing the same thing as this, making a ton of money. The IRS isn't going to challenge and make a statement case on just any small business. They're going to pick one of the biggest businesses and they're going to make one statement case. Eventually, they're going to do that. I imagine. Maybe they won't. And then logically, from the same position, logically, you really aren't doing anything in the US. Just because Americans want to spend their money on Amazon, Amazon's paying tax on their profits. But why should you have to pay taxes because you're not doing anything in the US? You live in Argentina. And from the same standpoint, Argentina is going to say that all your LLC income should be taxed in Argentina because it's not taxed in the US and it flows through from a fiscal standpoint. So that's where you can be, that's where you'd be really aggressive, is if you don't pay taxes in Argentina or in the US, then you're being aggressive. But from a US standpoint, I don't think it's really aggressive. I just think it's a non-traditional viewpoint that is supported by the code section. And then for the same people, I know I'm going on a rant now, for the same accountants you talk to, ask them to reference the code section that says why you have to pay taxes, and see if they can reference the law and show you why you would have to pay taxes on this income.
So if you have time, I can read what another CPA wrote me.
Yeah.
And he says that foreigners are only subjected to US tax if they are engaged in a trade or business in the United States, which is called ETOB. And some ways to consider if you are ETOB are if you have at least one dependent agent in the US. The second one is if this dependent agent does something substantial to further your business in the US, which in my understanding, none of those applies to this because Amazon is making, is giving services not only to me, but to—
Yeah, Amazon is enormous. They're certainly not a dependent agent of yours.
Exactly. Yes. But the third point, and here is where my doubt is if you are engaged in considerable, continuous, and regular business in the US. So am I not doing business considerable, continuous, and regular in the US, making, selling goods through Amazon?
I don't think you're doing business in the US. What code section is that? Is that from just the IRS website?
No. This is something that a CPA wrote to me.
Okay, let me bring up this is fun. I always like doing this because I want people to challenge me. I want to keep getting smarter at this stuff too, you know, because it's I'm not right on everything, but I believe I have good support for this specific discussion. Let me open so it's called effectively connected income. So per tax rules, income earned in the United States is subject to taxation by the US government. Income earned within the United States. Okay, so I reference code section 864, and I'll just share my screen because I do this a lot. And I reference the same document that I put together a long time ago, but the code hasn't really changed. Well, the code hasn't changed. So 864 is per code section 864 in the case of a non-resident individual not engaged in trade or business, no income shall be effectively connected with a trade or business. And then we go to what is the definition of engaging in a trade or business in the United States. And then there's different criteria the IRS determines in Code Section 862 what it means, the definition of engaging in a trade or business. So the first one is 862A3 states that compensation for labor or personal services performed outside is non-U.S. source income. So that's all your services, all of your remote workers or whatever. It means you weren't doing any work or services while physically in the United States. It is recommended that if you travel to the United States during your period of non-residency, that you do not perform any work or services. Having a fixed place of business is simple. The short answer is you do not have a fixed place of business in the United States unless you have an office, you have an agent or salesperson that can enter into contracts, or you have an agent or salesperson that is not as independent agent, which you mentioned there. And that's the code section that talks to about the independent agent section.
Right.
So that's really how I look at it, and it goes from the other end. So it says nothing. No, it starts here again. I'm just going to repeat myself. In the case of a non-resident alien like yourself, no income or loss is effectively connected with a trade or business, unless it's engaging in trade or business. And it goes through what is engaging. So I don't think you qualify those satisfy those criteria. And you can go into the regulations if you want to look into it in more detail.
No. That's why I'm calling you, who are the one that knows about this. So anyway, as you said, I don't need to pay income taxes. I do need to fill or file some paperwork to the IRS. I don't know if it's annually or how it is.
Yeah, annually.
In that paperwork, how do I need to fill that paperwork or that file in order to I don't know, to say to the IRS, I am a non-resident, so I don't need to pay? I mean, how do I fill the form?
Yeah, I have a number of videos on Form 5472. When there's a single owner of a U.S. LLC, a single foreign owner, you have to file this form just to report the transactions between yourself and your company. And by filing this form, you're telling the IRS that this LLC is doing business and exists with a foreign owner, and these are the transactions that they had between themselves.
Okay. And that is something that I need to do. Let's say that I open an LLC now in June, okay? And I start doing business in a couple of months. I start selling products in Amazon. I need to fill that form now when I'm forming the LLC, or I need to fill it when next year?
You need to complete the form. It's based on a calendar year. So if you open your LLC during the year, at December 31st, the year is over, and you have to file it before the 15th day of the third month of year end. So before April 15th of the subsequent year. So basically every April 15th, you have to file the report based on the prior calendar year.
Okay. So let's say that in order for me to open an LLC, a US LLC, of course, I don't need to fill any paperwork regarding the IRS.
You need to apply for a tax ID with the IRS.
Yes, the AIN, right? Something like that.
AENA, yes.
Yes. You speak Spanish?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And coming back to my first question, so it's exactly the same for me making business as an US LLC or making business as myself from Argentina.
From a tax perspective.
Any of both cases, I don't need to pay the income taxes.
In the US, correct?
In the US, yes.
Argentina wants your money, I'm sure. I'm sure they do.
Yes.
I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Many of my clients, I believe, don't report anything in their home countries, but I don't know. I don't advise on that. Take a
Okay. Okay. So let me ask you, if you have some more time, some questions regarding the LLC.
sure.
I've been reading that there are different states with different laws regarding the LLC, and apparently a lot of people are recommending for doing this type of business, opening an LLC in Wyoming.
It's a beautiful state. Wonderful forests and mountains and stuff. It's great. You should visit it. Everyone talks about opening companies there, but it is a really beautiful state. So to answer your question, it doesn't really matter. The LLC is just for legal liability purposes. You can open an LLC in Georgia. It's probably the same. Delaware is a little more private. You can look up the directors and the owners of a Wyoming LLC, but you can't really look up the owners of a Delaware LLC.
So you're saying that in Delaware, it is completely anonymous, the owner of the LLC?
They're both very private, but I find Delaware is more private. Also, Delaware is more notorious. For example, in Ecuador and in Brazil, a Delaware LLC is kind of blacklisted. So it's like a tax haven, whereas a Wyoming LLC wouldn't be.
Okay.
Take that with a grain of salt, I suppose. That's an expression. I don't know, I forgot you're not a native speaker, but it's you know, I don't know what to tell you how to use that, but that's just some information.
Okay, let me come back to my notes to see if I have anything else to ask you.
You asked me about a corporation. You didn't ask me about that yet. You had a lot of notes here about that.
So yes, let's say that as we talked before, and we have these two different approaches. One is saying that, or at least you are saying, and I found a lot of other attorneys and CPAs that agree with you that I don't need to pay income taxes in the US. On the other hand, there are another lot of tax attorneys and CPAs that are saying the contrary. So let's say that I do need to pay income taxes in the US. For that purpose, it's better for me, I mean, to try to pay the less taxes as I can, to open an LLC or to open I don't know which type of corp, or opening an LLC with a kind of corp taxation or something like that. I read that exists also.
Yeah, the corporation pays a flat tax rate of 21%. However, if you want to send dividends to yourself, you have to pay an extra 30% withholding on all the dividends. That said, you can pay yourself a salary, but it has to be timed right. So there's a lot more administrative work to keep a corporation done right and to avoid excessive taxes. So you really need to have like an accountant you work with annually, a lot closer than if you have an LLC where you can kind of just work with someone at the end of the year. So the corp is more detailed. If you're just starting out, I wouldn't do a corp. I would just open an LLC and then see how it's going. The most people that benefit from corporations are people that live in high tax places that intend to reinvest the majority of their money, because a flat 21% tax rate isn't bad compared to other places where they're paying higher rates. So a lot of people want to use corps and just reinvest or pay it out as management fees. So there's a lot of flexibility you can do there. Again, if you haven't even started yet, I think an LLC is probably best.
Okay, excellent. And what it is the so-called LLC but taxed as a corp?
Well, taxes is all we're talking about. You're not talking about any of the legal aspects or the benefits of a corp or an LLC. We haven't even really talked about that. So the answer would be that's the same thing. Like if you open an LLC and you want to be a corp in the future, you can just make an election and do that.
Okay.
You want a corp specifically if you are a huge company, you want to sell shares, you want to go public, you want to get investors, you want to do different things like that. That's when you would want a corporation. You don't, it's not.
Okay, that's not for me, at least for this business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, James, great advice. Thank you very much.
How long are you going to be searching for advice before you take the plunge and open a company and start
Oh
your story?
yeah, this is crazy. You know, I'm like in an analysis paralysis. You know.
You are, for sure. That's if you want to just get it done, we're happy to work with you. We have a bunch of packages that we do where we just open the company, work with you. If you have questions, you ask us and it's done. That way you can get into the real hard part, which is choosing products that people are going to buy and market them correctly on Amazon. That's the hard part. This is the easy stuff.
No, absolutely. No, I mean, one very important thing that you have addressed here in this conversation is that it's exactly the same for me working from the point of view of the taxes to pay to the US. It's the same for me working by myself from Argentina or through an US LLC. So, I mean, after this call, I'm more, how do you say, convinced of opening an LLC, which will give me another advantage in the US, like opening a bank account, a business bank account, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if you need help with that, that's exactly what we do. We literally do it all for you. We have a call just to get some more information. We open everything. You use our address. We get you an ITIN. And we have another call in like a week, and then we'll open up all the bank accounts and other accounts that you need. So happy to help if you want. That's obviously I make the channels and the videos to get clients and things like that to help other people.
Of course.
But there's always a ton of people who just do it themselves, which is good. It's fine. Good for you too. So let me know how you want to, if you want help with this, I'm happy to help. And thanks for calling in.
No, thank you, James, very much for your help and for your time.
Okay, likewise. Okay, have a great day, Javier. We'll be in touch.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye. Hello, everyone. I think that call went really well. I hope you appreciate it. I hope you liked it. If you did like it, please don't forget to give me that thumbs up. It really helps in the algorithm. And also, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos. And if you want to have a call with me to ask me all your questions, I'm so happy to talk to you. You can schedule a call for free. It's going to go on the channel using the description below. There's links in there. And if you have a private call, you can do that too. You just got to pay for it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the content. And until the next time, see you there. Thanks.